Hello everyone, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. So nice to have you here. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. Again, we're going back to lasers. I will be using this very compact machine, the X-Tool F1, that I think you might like because it's perfect for little projects. So today we're going to try a few different ideas, all of them inspired by The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Come on. Oh, here's Tommy, by the way, supervising the work, distributing his hair. I used to belong to the Tolkien Association in Argentina. I guess I still do in a way, it's a lifelong thing. So when I got this machine and I got all of these materials that you can see here, this is so promising. And to be honest, when I saw how simple this machine is to use and set up, like you can have it right next to your computer and it makes fun noises. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Then I started thinking about all the things I could do with this. As I was saying, I had all these ideas in mind because I have lots of little graphics that I sometimes put in like print-on-demand shops, like the Gondor tree or the Doors of Moria. And there is actually one collection of illustrations that you might not have heard about if you like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, the books. Especially you might know about this. But no spoilers yet. Let's take a look at the materials we're going to be using. In a previous video I have tried plywood. In this case we are also going to be experimenting with metal and PVU leather. I think it's called PVU, eco leather. I actually tried all of these to various degrees of success and I made lots of presents for my friends, so I'm not going to show you all of the materials in this video, but I know that there will be more videos, lots of more videos coming soon. So let's test our first project. The manual recommended downloading the official program for the X-Tool. It's called X-Tool Creative Space, I think. And two things about this. First, really easy to download, it's just a program. And second, there is a big library of projects you can download and try directly from the platform. I didn't do this because, as you know me, I like to improvise. So I thought, no, I just want to print something myself and see what happens. But I know most people are probably not as chaotic as me, so this is a good place to get started. I think you do have to register though to download things. So there were a couple of little steps here, just connecting the machine to the computer and downloading the latest firmware. But that's all I actually had to do. And then I was ready to import my first graphic. This is the Gondor tree. There are so many things I want to mention right now and just go off topic about the Gondor tree and anecdotes and stories. But no, I will just say that I chose the material, made sure everything was set to engrave as opposed to cut, and then just put the plywood in the machine, put my protection glasses on because you're not supposed to look at the laser directly, and press the button. And I can tell you that this moment right here, I think I can count with my fingers how many times I have felt this happy. I'm showing the video like at 600 speed, however it feels like really fast. You can actually see it moving and it was ready I think in maybe 20 seconds. So let's take a look. Honestly, and this is not a sponsored video, when I saw how this came out, I just knew this was going to be a lifelong romance with this machine. So I immediately jumped to the next project. This is something I designed quite quickly. It's just a call to adventure from The Hobbit. And the purpose of this second project was to test now also the cutting, not just the engraving, but also the cutting. So while the graphic is set to engrave, I designed a box around it, set that to cutting, and I also added a couple of little holes because it's going to be a sign we're going to hang on our gaming room. And jumped back to the machine, which, like I said, is set up right next to my computer. So this is what I like the most about making this video. On the one hand I was recording my screen, on the other hand I was recording the machine right next to me. It's just one click and one tap of the button, the physical button, and it's done. It's And here is the result. This is again the default engraving. It's just one pass I think, so it's quite light. You can make it much darker if you want. So let's jump to the real project now. We're going to do a 3D dragon. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about this art. The illustration we'll be working on was actually designed by Queen Margaret II of Denmark when she was a crown princess in the 70s. Now, to really interesting things about this. The first one was that these illustrations were actually featured in the Danish editions of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings in 1977, but also that Tolkien actually loved this art, which is quite rare, I must say. I mean, I don't want to be unfair. He wasn't opposed to people creating art based on his work, but he was really, really attached to the world he had created. So he had something envisioned in his mind, and that's why he preferred to actually do his own illustrations and maps and sketches, which are, by the way, fantastic in my eyes. I think he was an amazing artist. But let's say he was a little more selective. And the Queen Margaret's drawings he actually liked, because in a way I think maybe they looked a little similar to his own work. If you want to learn more about this, I recommend this excellent blog called Black and White Words and Pictures, which is about block prints and books. And these illustrations are pen and ink apparently, but they look very block printy. So let's go back to the video for a little bit. I'm so sorry. Maybe you can already guess what I'm doing here, but my idea was the following. Instead of trying just one engraving, I thought how cool would it be to add some depth to this illustration. So I broke the image into separate parts, and then I created these outlines in the laser program. So I would engrave and then cut the parts, pile them up, and sort of create like a 3D dragon thing. Of course, between tests and things that didn't work out, I ended up using all of the material that was included with the machine very quickly, so I turned to the plywood I had used for one of my previous videos. One really cool thing and very useful is this, like, what is it called? It's not really an outline, it's like a test where you can kind of show where the drawing is going to be printed or cut. And this is great for saving material because, yeah, you can place it before you actually start the process. You can see it here, and it doesn't affect the material in any way, it's just like a little light. So a couple of little notes on safety, because if you're going to be doing projects like this, I think it's very important to know. First, you should never leave the machine unattended while it is lasering. You should wear your goggles, you should never look directly into the laser beam, and you should work in a place that is either well ventilated or has a really good extractor. And even in that case, you have to be careful because, especially with plywood, the glue that holds the plywood together is highly toxic, so you should always avoid those fumes. Now, back to the screen, it's time to glue our parts together. For this, I'm just going to use wood glue or PVA glue. I'm going to brush it so it covers more of the surface, and then I'm going to press everything together, let it dry for a few hours, and that should be it. I think the inspiration for this idea is some retro video games art I have seen on Etsy, I think. And also, you know those Pokemon cards? Those Pokemon cards! It sounds so old. I've seen people cut Pokemon cards, many cards of the same type. They cut little parts and they do like a little, what is it called? Like a depth collage. And you have to be very delicate to do that. So I think this is a less delicate option, which is better for me. It's also, I think, relatively easy to prepare because all you have to do is cut the image. I use Photoshop, but you can use any free programs. So this is the result. It's a very small piece and this is very close up, so the detail looks amazing from a certain distance. And I thought it would also be a good idea to show you this other version I did, which is more floaty. Not all the pieces are resting on other pieces, that's why I discarded it. But you can dry brush these and I think it will look pretty cool. Now, once I did the wood project, I thought it would be great to try those little metal or aluminium cards. Since I already had this design, I thought, okay, yeah, maybe we can try different colors for the same idea. This is what the machine came with, so lots of different colors to choose from. And because I wanted to make sure I did things right, I double checked, I measured the cards first, and I did a first attempt that actually hurt my machine. Maybe you have already spotted the problem here. How about here? Yep, there. I assumed incorrectly and very dumbly, because I should have known this from the other machines I use. I assumed that the printing area was this whole square, but if you look at the software, it actually shows some rounded edges, basically telling you do not print around here, it's not going to work. And it didn't work, but now we know. And we're going to use the proper tool, which is this outline tool. And my machine now has a little tattoo. which I'm honestly fine with because all of my machines have the marks of usage and the marks of life. Also, these kind of mistakes, I guess, help me be a little more careful in the future. Anyway, let's look at the results of the metal printing. I don't know how well the camera captures how cool these look. I think the fact that this was a black and white illustration really brings out all of this detail when it comes to the lasering. So I wasn't sure if there was a way to cut this material. I didn't want to risk it because from what I could read, there was no way to directly cut. I did like a quick try and it didn't work. And I thought, well, okay, for now, let's not go down that route. Let's just cut it with scissors because this is actually very thin metal. And as long as I'm careful, it should be fine. And I have to tell you, I was very careful and I didn't hurt myself. Having said that, though, it was a little difficult to go around the corners. So I think maybe, well, my scissors were not the best tool. As Adam Savage recommended, I am not using my best scissors for this. I'm using my worst ones, or like any regular scissors, because they will get blunt after cutting metal. I am aware of that. I guess this part of the video is something that I have to try a little bit more, see how this can be done better. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. So right before cutting the dragon, I realized that it was actually more white than gold. So I thought, why don't we invert it? So that way it will have more gold than white. So I did that using the software because it had a very easy function to do so. You can also like change not intensity, like saturation. It has some filters, some things that we will definitely try in the future. And I reprinted this piece and then cut it. And then I used two tools to try to improve the way this looked because it doesn't look very flat at the moment. So one is a little silicone tool, like a brush. I don't know what this is, but you will see it here soon. And the other one is my files, which take a little more time but actually do work quite well. So I did that for a bit. I tried to clean the edges, make it less spiky and uneven. Here is the silicone tool I was talking about. I think it's a sculpting tool actually. Yes, it's a sculpting tool. By the way, it's Friday 8 p.m. here. The summer is ending and the neighbors are having a garden party. And you might be able to hear some things because there is someone that apparently finds everything hilarious already at 8 p.m. And I think it's just going to get more intense as time goes on, but I really want to finish recording this today. So in a way, it works for me because it has been a very long week and I feel like I'm kind of part of the party, but also outside and just enjoying the happiness. I am fine with that. So the last step for this little project, this is going to be the longer one and then we'll do some shorter ones. It's just gluing everything together and I use contact cement, I think it's called, or contact glue. It's the one used, for example, to repair shoes. And it's supposed to work really well with metal. Although it was a little bit difficult to apply because it's quite thick and I'm not sure if a brush is the best way to do this. But it doesn't need to cover the whole surface as long as there are surfaces that touch, I guess. And I can tell you that a few days later, as I'm recording this from the future, this has worked perfectly and it's not coming off anytime soon. Like I said, this would look much better if it was completely flat. I think I will think of ways to achieve this. For this one, what I did is just put it between my two little adventure signs and then clamp it and let it rest. And this is what it looks like after it's been there. I think a press would be a much better idea. I don't have one, but I'll see if I can actually find one, and an antique one will be pretty cool. But even though it doesn't look exactly like I envisioned, I still think the concept is quite interesting and I will explore more. Now it's time for our fourth, but number 3 project, the coasters. Definitely by far my favorite material from the ones that came in the little box and from all the materials I have tried. It is this fake leather, eco leather, and I think it's sticky on the other side, but the best thing about this is that it actually has like a layer of silver underneath. But even better than that is that I didn't know it had this. So when it came out, I was just and I ran to John. I told him about it and I couldn't believe it. So I decided for these coasters to do the Doors of Moria, and again the Gondor tree because I had only used it for the test. So let's take a closer look at these. It makes me so happy to see it. And the tree actually has a very special meaning for me very quickly. I am from a city in Argentina called La Plata. It literally translates to the silver. So our Tolkien group in La Plata was called Itelpe, which means the silver in Elvish. And I had hand-painted a flag that was this exact tree in silver on a black background on a huge banner, so it brings me so many amazing memories. But sorry, back to the video. I thought the coasters looked a little empty, so I decided to add the ring inscription around it, but the peaks of the letters were very long, so I shortened them using Illustrator. So then I tried to position it in place and lasered it. It's a bit big, I think, but it kind of works, I hope. If you like these designs and you're a patron, you can find it in the Patreon's download area for free, obviously. Just please don't sell it, use it for personal projects. And in the description you can also find a link to this machine. I signed up for the affiliate program, so there should be a code there. And if you make a purchase, a little bit of that goes to me at no extra cost to you. Any earnings from that will go towards actually maybe making some videos explaining how you can make your own products for sale. I don't know, maybe, if you like the idea. So here are the coasters done. As you might know, I'm not usually happy with my work, but these ones I love. I really love. Slightly misaligned, but beautifully silver and full of joy. I don't know, I love them. And now it's time to do our last project of the day. There will be many more to come. Back end in Hobbiton in leather. I also found this illustration in that wonderful blog I told you about. In this case, this is a pen and ink drawing by David Wyatt. And this is not really like a full project, this is just maybe an idea, a proof of concept, if you will. And I'm using these leather scraps that I got from the Makers Fair here in the UK. This is what is considered dead stock leather or leftovers. So I'm quite comfortable using this, and if you made it this far into the video, I will tell you that if you by any chance are going to the PonyCon convention here in the UK 2024, because I'm gonna have a stall there, and you say Hobbiton, then if these are still available, you can have one of them free. Yes, I am going to be there in person. And I'm going to also be selling my book, but I will tell you more about that soon. Let's look at the results. Here are different pieces of leather that I tried this on. First the tree, and then our little bag ends in various colors. I didn't cut this because I was thinking of giving them away, and that way you can use them for whatever you want. For example, you could stick it to the cover of a book, or I can't really think of any other uses, but you might. The red one is my favorite because it shows the illustration really well. So let's take a look at all the results, but first, thank you to all my lovely patrons. Thank you for trusting me, especially the VIPs, which I will try to pronounce: Sarah LaChapelle, Elizabeth Magana, Terry G, and Orion Bucantis. And here they are, the results. I hope this video wasn't too different from what you were expecting from the channel. I actually think I never talked about Lord of the Rings and my passion for Lord of the Rings before, so I hope that's okay. If you liked it, feel free to request topics for future projects. They could be like one thing, or a series of things, or how-tos, just let me know. Obviously, because ponies are a big thing in this channel, if you have any idea for pony stuff, also let me know. Maybe a Lord of the Rings pony with a saddle? No saddles, no capes! Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye. So let's test our first project.